This is Money, Motivation, and Mike, and I'm your host, Michael Wainwright. In charge of the show, as always, is Jason Wright, and hello to you, world. This is the show that can change your life. You can contact us at info@mx3.vip and find all of our content at mx3.vip or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@mx3 podcast. And don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and bell icon to get notified of all of our new content, which comes out every Monday morning around 9 o'clock. Couple of topics that I would like to discuss today that have happened over the last few days. And first of all, subscribers right now on YouTube, 56,794 as we approach the 60,000 number, Jason. And at the rate that we've been going with our podcast and YouTube channels, we could be at over 100,000 subscribers into the fall, if not by the end of the year. Monumental stuff going on here at Money, Motivation, and Mike. Now, the first one is a very disturbing situation, and this has to do with the Sonya Massey death here just a few days ago, and how all that went down. And once again, we have white police officers shooting and killing a black individual. Now, I would say in some of those circumstances, when you do find out all the facts, maybe that person put themselves in a situation to where a gun was pulled, a force had to be put onto the individual. I remember the choking situation with the knee into the neck. That's what I'm referring to. Maybe there were situations there where that particular individual got themselves into that unfortunate situation. And now that doesn't mean they still should have been shot and killed, but maybe they were part of provoking unto unjust mischief that was going on in their life. Now, this Sonya Massey deal is different. In Springfield, Illinois, this is 36-year-old Sonya Massey thought somebody was disturbing, I believe, going in or thinking somebody might be breaking into her house. She called the police. The police showed up unarmed. Not the police. The police obviously were armed. Unarmed Sonya Massey. They come into the house, boiling water, etc., and she ends up laying on the ground in a puddle of blood. Different things there that I will touch on here momentarily, but Jason, I want to roll this video, and I also want to put out the disclaimer that it is, there is language in there that is inappropriate. I would assume we will beep that out as we go, and an unfortunate situation of an innocent individual that was seeking help and ended up dead on the floor. So let's pull that video up, Jason. Let's run it.
1 second.
Check on her.
Let me get this.
Okay, so right now they're already in the house. She answered the door, invited them into the house. Everything's good. They're in the living room. And I'm pointing this out for our podcast listeners as well.
We don't need a fire while we're here.
Right. Let me see.
So she is now headed over. She's got a pot of boiling water on her stove. Officer says do not need a fire in the house. She then goes over to take it off, does not ask for permission or was permission given. Still no issue there. Still nothing.
Hey,
All right.
where you going?
Huh?
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
I
Rebuke you in the name of
You better not. I swear to God, I'll shoot you right in your face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the
Incredible. Rebuke you in the name of Jesus is what she said a couple of times. I take that as just normal conversation. Nothing. I mean, she could be telling them to kiss her, whatever. I don't see there is no threat. It's not that I don't see it. There is none. And for some reason, through that, a gun is pulled.
Drop the pot! Drop
19 shots fired.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Incredible. Now, at this time, for those who are listening and not viewing, the lady, Miss Massey, has dropped behind the counter to the floor. Whether she's setting down the pot of boiling water or whether she's getting out of the way, etc. She starts apologizing, and I believe you heard 3 gunshots there. So 3 shots. Now, like I say, here we are back again with a situation, and these body cams, just the fact of all of the information that is now exposed and out there, it brings to light a lot of things that maybe have been going on for years. But now that you have evidence of what's going on and an actual footage that's released moments later, you've got 45 seconds of basically video here that shows an extremely unfortunate situation where lots of things, there was even considered of mental health. We've talked about mental health on this show. The officer failing to recognize the mental health issues that Miss Massey may have had. Still don't know, but there was there. That has been mentioned. But, you know, just here on, and this happened around right after midnight on July the 6th. And remember, Miss Massey called 911 to report a possible burglar outside her home. Okay, they got there, and we didn't catch the part before they entered the house, but I have watched that, and it seemed like that the officer was already agitated, aggravated, that he's having to go out there and this is my opinion, and get involved in this situation from the start. But you did hear chuckling when she's moving the boiling water off of the stove. They are laughing, and the officer starts backing up. I really don't know why he was backing up. I didn't see any reason for him to think that he was in harm's way. But nevertheless, here we are, and this going on. Now, they allowed her to get the pot of boiling water. Like I say, she didn't ask for permission. They didn't get permission, but they also did not tell her she should not be going towards the boiling water. Sit down, I'll get the boiling water. Nothing. Okay. And I'm really interested in knowing here about the deputy and how he come up with the idea that I need to shoot you in your effing face. Now, Jason, I don't know if you know this, over the last 4 years, I believe, this is his 6th law enforcement job. He does have DWIs. Now, lots of people drink and drive. Obviously, an officer of the law should be a little bit more coherent to that. But his background is not the strongest.
No,
and we could discuss that as well. But we got other things to go on and talk about. But I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, huh? The deputy says, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, she repeats. And then it wasn't, what does that mean? Or why would you say that? You better effing not. I swear to God, I'll effing shoot you in the effing face. That's Officer Grayson. And I have not mentioned his name to this point, and we'll just call him Officer Grayson, who, by the way, is in custody on a no bond for obviously capital murder charges. And here we are, drawing firearm. If I was in that situation, and Jason, you can answer for yourself. I know these police officers have to make quick decisions on a daily basis. And sometimes they make the wrong decision. Now, I didn't even as I watched this video, I didn't even see a decision that had to be made, right or wrong. There's nothing going on.
I agree.
The police officer instigated something to happen. And as a matter of fact, one of the, I believe it was the prosecutor, did a scenario. And the scenario goes something along the lines of this. You can take it to a scenario of an officer intentionally and unnecessarily putting him or herself in front of a moving vehicle and then justifying the use of force because of the fear of being ran over. So you would never had to do that if you hadn't put yourself in front of the moving vehicle. And I believe that did come from a prosecutor. And I'm just kind of saying that off the top of my head, but I'm pretty certain that that's, I'm plagiarizing here, but I know that was what was said, and that was the example they gave in the court. Failing to provide medical care. The officer who did not shoot was going to the car to get the first aid to see what they could do. Officer Grayson, Deputy Grayson, shot her in the face. Let's see what he says here. All right. I'm not even going to waste my medical stuff then, Grayson says. No reason to do it. Let her effing just. There's nothing we can do, man. Nah, she's done. You can get it, but that's a headshot. Incredible. We'll see how this plays out. I would say 99.99% of us already know how it's going to play out. But nevertheless, it gets to do that, and he'll get his day in court, and we will see what happens. And once again, as we talked about a month or two ago, O.J. Simpson got off, so you never know. Now, moving on to with that regard, in 1994, there was no social media. It was on the cuff of becoming the World Wide Web. So there was a lot of things there that we have today that we didn't have back then, and such as body cams, etc. But no social media and all those kind of things that went along. Now let's move to another subject here. Yesterday, FBI Director Christopher Wray was before Congress, and he was drilled extensively over the FBI's involvement or lack of involvement, etc., when it comes to what happened to the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. He also went into some other things along the way that I'm going to talk about here in a minute. The five threats the FBI director warns the U.S. should be worried about. We're going to go into those here momentarily. But I want to start this particular topic with this. I was listening to the FBI director's talk before, basically his speech, and then he opened it up for questions before Congress. And as I was listening, Jason, you did not have to even know the questions he was being asked, if they were Democrat or Republican. Obviously, the committee chair recognizes the congressperson, congresswoman, congressman, whatever they are. He recognizes them and gives them the floor for X amount of time. And the questions they ask and some of the things is just absurd. You did not, like I say, have to know that one was a Democrat or one was a Republican. You could listen and you would know exactly. And what I mean by that is the Democrats were basically saying that our lack of more support for all law enforcement, the FBI and the Secret Service in their particular cases at the federal level. The Democrats, those who spoke, we would give you more support, but the other side of the aisle, referring to the Republicans, do not support us in that. So it's their fault that we got into what we got into. I mean, sitting here and asking this gentleman questions, and it's all directed and on blame on what the other side's doing. Okay. Then you could tell with the Republicans. Republicans were not blaming the Democrats. They were blaming security in its entirety with the FBI, the Secret Service, etc. And while they were doing that how do we let this slip up happen to where Donald Trump is almost dead, almost gets assassinated? How do we let that happen in this day and age with all the things that have been going on for the last 25 years and all the security and homeland security and all the things that we have in place? They're basically pointing the finger and insinuating that there was part of the FBI and the FBI officers who were disappointed in general that Trump was not assassinated. Their first question was, is he dead? Instead of, is he alive? That's the kind of things that we're talking about. So as I listened to the director and then the questions that he was asked, I started realizing how uneducated, and I'm even going to use the word incompetent, these congressmen, congresswomen, senators that we send to Washington, D.C., how unprofessional, how one agenda blind, tunnel vision minded they are. What's in it for me? I would say that the majority of Congress is most importantly worried about themselves and their constituents in their particular districts, and not necessarily the United States of America as a whole. And I was thinking about how non-qualified some of these people are who hold major offices. There's 535 people in this country that make law and decisions. 435 in the House and 100 in the Senate. And I was thinking that the problem with our security and with the questions going on with this particular FBI director, and by the way, the Secret Service director resigned under crossfire, no pun intended, if you will. But the questions that were going on towards this particular director in this setting having to do with security, the problem with our security is not necessarily the FBI and the Secret Service and your state troopers, your county deputies, your sheriff, your local police officers, your chief. The problem is with the government and the people making the decisions and their lack of competence when it comes along. They are not educating themselves on the topics, in my opinion, or their aides are not getting them the information that they need. And they continue to go on and say that they sent in letters to the FBI. They've sent in letters to the Secret Service, and those letters go unanswered. I'm sure that's the case. Don't know for sure that it is, but if you've sent in a letter and you've waited a year for a response, have you really done your due diligence? Why have you not demanded answers to your information that you're seeking? And I can only say, in my time involved in politics and being on a local city council, when I wanted to know something that I did not know, I wanted some information, I'd call the city manager. And our city manager at that time would have that information back to you in 24 hours at the max. Or if that time extended a little bit longer, he would call you and tell you the research he's having to do and he's waiting on the information. But you're going to get an answer. Now, I know that was a smaller setting than where we are, but remember, we got a lot of people working at the FBI, and that means that you should come with the answers and give the honest truth whenever you answer these things. So I took the security and blamed it on Congress. Then I took it even a little bit lower to a step, let me restate that, a step higher to John Q, tax-paying citizen who better be out there voting and doing their work to find out who the candidate is that they should be voting for and holding them accountable. I blame it on us, the tax-paying citizens who should vote. And I know after this this first debate of the presidential candidates at that time, a lot of people said that their vote right now is not to vote because they don't care for either candidate. So isn't that our responsibility to go out and find better candidates? Some of the quality people who could be good quality candidates don't want the mess of having to go to Washington, D.C. and get involved in what they call the corrupt crap of the United States government. But it's going to take some people to actually go do this to get things turned around and going in the right direction. Because right now we are not going in the right direction. And when you are to listen, and this is just a security, this is talking about security in this particular committee. And one particular person said, I believe it was, I can't remember the senator's name, but he said he'd been on this particular committee for 13 years and he keeps getting the same answers over and over and over again. Then why aren't you enforcing the answer? Why aren't you getting a different answer? Why aren't you getting a different result to your answer? What do? You sit on these committees and you listen and you ridicule and you drill whomever the speaker is, and then you go back to your office and you go on to the next topic. And we don't have any follow-up. That's what I believe is going on. But nevertheless, the citizens have to demand more. And we can't say that our vote don't matter. And we can't say that our voice doesn't get heard. You've got to go out and make your vote matter. You've got to go out and make your voice be heard. And as we were talking about this particular topic offline, and Jason was mentioning, and you forgot one other factor, and that is the media. And the media drives a lot of things. Let's just say most of the things in our country and in the world. And you can tell by listening to the media, who no longer just reports news, they create news and they give their opinions. The weatherman tells you if it's raining outside or if it's blue skies. Those are facts. Pretty well knows what's going on. Does make forecasts over typically the next 7 days. That is reporting the news. When you say that this happened and here's what really happened and here's my opinion and all these other things, and you the citizens go out and they're doing their due diligence a whole lot by listening to the TV. And you listen to the radio. And if you listen to XM, Sirius satellite radio, where CNN, MSNBC, Fox, lots of different ones, frankly, all of them are on there. And you can go, let's just take the topic that we're about now with the FBI director. You can go on the show and you can listen as you're going down the road. And I know that most of the time you're listening to Money, Motivation, and Mike's podcast, but there are times when you should be listening to the news and trying to get yourself informed or doing your own research. But you can listen to Fox and they'll have an opinion on a particular subject, such as this FBI director. And then you can listen to MSNBC and you can listen to CNN and you can listen to wherever it is that you use for your news outlet. And every one of them are reporting something different. Or maybe a couple are reporting this and a couple are reporting that. None of them is reporting that it's raining outside. They all don't agree that it's raining outside. It's easy to report the weather, I guess. I guess it's easy to report sports. The person did score a touchdown or they didn't. The team did score some points or they got shut out. I guess that's easy stuff. But when it comes to politics, our media does an awful job. And then you go back up to the Congress level. And as was mentioned to me by Jason, freedom of speech. But why are we not with more laws on the media, more accountability? Donald Trump's big phrase has always been fake news. Now, he probably has gotten carried away with fake news. But we all know there is a lot of news out there that's inaccurate in both directions. For and against the Democrats, for and against the Republicans, for and against the independents, and the Green Party and whatever else is out there. And we've got to find a way as U.S. citizens and Americans to make a change and ask for something different. We have to demand change in this particular subject, or we're going to be the ones sitting around continuing to live with what we're getting. And that old saying, if you keep on doing what you're doing, you're going to keep on getting what you got. And that's a fact. And right now, what we're getting is not what we deserve. But I guess it is what we deserve if we're not going to do anything about it. It all starts at the local level. You need to get out. You need to vote. And you need to go out and make a difference and hold people accountable. Just like you hold people accountable in your house. Just like you're held accountable at the workforce, at your job, whatever it is you do. You're held accountable because you coach the ball team. You're held accountable because you unlock the church house every Sunday morning. There's all kinds of accountability that's involved in our lives. But when we get to the government level, it's like we kind of think that's an outer space, and we can't identify with that. And we've got to start identifying with it. You need to find out who your local Congress, your local, your state, and your federal representatives are. The congressmen and women, the senators, the representatives. You need to find out who they are. The city council, your county commissioners. You find out who they are. They all have emails. They all have communication devices, how you can get a hold of them. Start going to some of those meetings. Get yourself informed and try to make a difference. Money Motivation and Mike continues to try to bring you topics that are informative without giving you total opinions. We do say, in my opinion, whenever it is our opinion. But we try to just bring the information and allow you to make decisions. Now, we here in this election year have focused over the summer months, coming out of the tax time with the money part of our show. We have focused a little bit more on politics over the last month or so. And I know that it's only going to get even bigger and hotter as, for example, President Joe Biden has removed his name as a potential candidate. Because remember, he still had not received the nomination. He's just a candidate for the Democratic nomination, just like everybody else is. Or everybody else, to this point is. That's right. And Vice President Harris, in my opinion, is the front runner to now receive the Democratic nomination. But there again, who knows how that's going to go down. Lots of things that have been happening. Now, Jason, the last time a president decided not to seek office for his second term, as we've talked about on this show before, was Lyndon Baines Johnson, OBJ, 1968, 55 plus years ago, coming on 56. And the reason I know that is because I was born in 1968. After LBJ said he was not going to run for office, two big things happened after that. Martin Luther King was assassinated, and Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated. There were major things. Now, we were right in the middle of that Vietnam War, which a lot of people, as we've discussed, LBJ didn't handle it properly. His health was also faltering. And his health was faltering, and he was roughly 20 years younger than our current candidates are right now. Now, I know that they're separated in 4 years. I think it's 77 and 81. LBJ was 20 years younger than that when he was seeking re-election, or was going to seek re-election before he pulled his name out of the hat. And as I mentioned before, Ronald Reagan was 70 in 1980, and people were in the uproar about that. He turned out to be, in my opinion, a very good president that got a lot of stuff done. Now, here we are again. As I mentioned, and the world already knows, President Biden has removed himself from the Democratic nomination, and we'll see how that goes down. But nevertheless, like I say, we've been focusing a lot on what's going on in the world, especially the United States of America, which in essence is usually the leader in what's going on in the world with what we do right here in our own homeland. You can always find us at mx3.vip. Always contact us at info@mx3.vip. And you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@MX3 Podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of our information, which Jason releases every Monday morning around 9 o'clock. Now, in this particular episode, Jason, you're going to have to do some beeping. Get this thing ready. It was F-Bomb Central here on the show today. So, for Money Motivation to Mike and everyone who's been a part of this show, continue to live your life the right way.